We interrupt our program to bring you a special broadcast.
Boom! Headshot!
Hey, it's Clay. Welcome to another League of Legends video. This time I want to talk about runes and masteries for beginners. If you have no idea what's going on, I want to explain it to you and just kind of talk you through things, give you an idea of what you can use them for, how important they are, and different ways that you can set things up. So let's go ahead and start with masteries. Masteries are something that you have access to right from the beginning, and then as you gain a point in your rank all the way up to level 30, you gain additional points in your masteries. So in the end, you can start making pages that look like those in the guides, which usually put 21 points in one tree, 9 points in another tree, and then 0 points in another tree. So basically there are 3 trees: the offense, defense, and utility tree. And the offense tree is very straightforward. It either improves your attack damage or your ability power. That's pretty much just about it. It offers things that are related to that, but I would say that there are 2 different ways of setting up the offense tree. So I want to kind of walk you through that. This would be your standard AD masteries tree in the offense. It would look something like this. You're going to have 21 in the offense tree. You're going to take all of your points in the physical damage, which are going to be all of these right in here. So you got attack speed. This is attack damage per level. Now we have armor penetration. This is increased percentage of your attack damage. These 2 points here improve your critical strikes. This gives you additional critical strike damage, and this gives you a bonus attack speed after you land a critical strike. This is base attack AD that you'll get right from level 1. And then this is armor penetration, and then this last one, you deal more damage when the target is below 50% health. So all of these are very, very good. This is something that you would want to do on like an AD carry. This is what I pretty much run on almost all of my AD carries, with some exceptions. But for the most part, if you're going to be an AD carry, you're going to build things like Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, those type of items. This type of a mastery tree is going to work really, really well with that. It'll give you attack damage, armor penetration, attack speed, all sorts of things that you really, really want. Also improving your crits. Overall, very, very good. Now, you can also do something where you're putting 9 points in the offense tree. That would look something like this. So you're getting the 4 points in attack speed, 4 points in attack damage per level, and then a bit of armor penetration. Also a very good choice. Another thing that you can do if you're a beginner is I would really recommend putting 2 points in this butcher tree. So it would look something like maybe you would take 2 points out of attack speed, or maybe you even want to put those points there, take 2 points out of this havoc. So it looks something like this. This is also a very viable setup. These points in butcher deal extra damage to minions and monsters, so this is going to help you with your last hitting. Overall, very strong setup. A lot of different ways you can do it. You could also put a point here. So something like, let's see here, how would you do that? Maybe take a point out of there. And then this would actually give you, that'll give you, if you're taking Ignite as a summoner spell or Ghost, this actually improves those, so it can be very, very useful there as well. Now let's talk about ability power. If you're playing an ability power champion, a standard setup would look something like this. You're going to take the opposite end of the spectrum, all these points down the right-hand side. So you've got cooldown reduction, ability power per level, magic penetration. I'm not actually sure if it's ignoring their magic resist. That's pretty much similar to magic penetration. This is the same percentage damage. Then we've got flat ability power. This is going to actually help you if you're building AP. This will transmit some of that into your attack damage for your basic attacks, so it can be really nice as you are ranking up throughout the game. Buying AP items, you're going to be doing more damage with your basic attacks, which you may need to use at some point in time. This is increasing your ability power by a percentage, so if this works really, really well if you're going to do something like rushing a Rabadon's Death Cap. This can be a fantastic choice. And then the same one here on the Executioner. Again, you can do something, like I said, if you want to only put 9 points in the offense tree, you could do something like this. Also would be a very good choice if you want to be a little more tanky or a little more utility. But I would say that those are the 4 basic ways that you will mostly see in the offense tree. 2 of them are attack damage based, 2 of them are ability power based, and then 2 of them are 21 point based, and 2 of them are 9 point based. So, and basically the main reason why you want to put 21 points, it seems kind of random, but you want to get 21 points so that you can get this last point here. Because if you need to get 20 points in all of these in order to have access to this last one. You can see it says requires 20 points in offense. So that's where the 21 comes from. So yeah, now let's move on to the defense tree. The defense tree is for a lot of top laners will take 21 points in defense. Maybe some junglers as well could do really well to take 21 points in defense. Personally, I really like to do a lot of my top lane bruisers in the 21 defense tree. Now, one thing to note here, these 2 points here are really good for jungling, or these 3. If you want to do something like this, this would be a great jungling tree right here if you want to put 9 points in. This gives you reduced damage from minions and monsters, and then it will actually deal damage back to them as they attack you. So these 3 points right here are really helpful for jungling. These 4 right here are really crucial. I would say that these are probably the best in this first set. You could do here if you're going to use heal or perhaps barrier or even cleanse. These are okay for some champions, like somebody like Dr. Mundo who relies on health regen. This could be a good choice. But I would say generally these 4 points in durability are the best. Now between these two, you want to probably do something like this. This is a very typical setup for your 9. Let's say you're playing an AD carry and you went for 21 in the offense tree. Then you want to put 9 in the defense tree. This is probably the best way to do it. You're going to put 3 points in armor because as an AD carry, you're going to be trading a lot with an enemy AD carry who's doing attack damage. 1 point in magic resist just because you want to fill up the tree and you can't put them anywhere else. And then 30 points here in veteran scars. This works very well with your durability. All 5 of these points are just giving you bonus health. This gives you bonus health at level 1. This gives you health as you scale throughout the game. This right here is my setup for an AD carry. Like I said, all the physical points in the damage tree, and then 9 points in the defense tree. I also like this page on a lot of bruisers if I want to be aggressive in the top lane. Somebody like Jace, or maybe Darius if I want to try to get a lot of kills. This could work really well. Now let's talk about a 21 point in the defense tree. That would probably look something like... There are a lot of different ways that you can do this type of a tree, but this is one that I run from time to time, focusing on getting 3 points in both armor and magic resist, just to help you be a little more tanky in the early game. You're getting this veteran scars for the extra health, but then beyond that, you're getting these 3 points here to reduce damage taken from champions, just to help you stay alive a little bit longer with those early trades. You're getting tenacity from these 3 points. Tenacity is really helpful, and it's going to reduce crowd control. If you also decide to buy something like Mercury Treads, this will work really well with that, giving you fantastic tenacity. So that things like slows, stuns, knockups, those types of things don't hurt you quite so badly. This here, Juggernaut, is a really, really nice, put 3 points in there if you are going to be building health. So, if on your champion you anticipate buying things like Warmogs or Randuin's Omen or Sunfire Cape, those types of items that are going to be having health, these 3 points can be really, really good. Now in this tier, these are kind of interesting items. This gives you a little bit of an aura. This gives you bonus armor and magic resist. If you're going to be instead buying a lot of armor and magic resist instead of health, you can maybe take 3 points out of here and put them here instead. So maybe a champion like Rammus or maybe Malphite, who really benefits from armor or magic resist. You definitely want to get those points in there because it will give you bonus. This will reduce your time spent dead. If you're a newer player and you find yourself dying a lot, this can be really, really helpful, and I would definitely recommend it. And then this actually will help you reduce take damage from critical strikes. So if you're somebody who's going to be trying to dive an AD carry late game, this point can be really, really nice, so those critical strikes don't hurt you quite so bad. And then finally, the 21st point reduces all damage taken by 3%, just a very solid all-around defense tree setup. So the only other thing I want to mention is if you're going to be like an AP mid laner, you could do a setup like this, which you can see mirrors the AD carry one that I said with the 9 points in the defense tree, except you're taking 3 in resistance for magic resist instead of armor. So I would say that the defense tree has a little bit more versatility. You can take points in relentless. I mean, it really just kind of depends. If you're going to be diving turrets, this can be a good one. Really, all of these points are useful in helping keep you alive. But the core, I would say, is this chain right here, these two. the last one, and then I kind of consider these two to be a little bit more core, just for my playstyle. But really, the defense tree is probably one of the more versatile ones that you can really kind of tailor it to your needs and specifically what type of an opponent you're facing. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the utility tree. This one is a little bit more interesting. I would say that champions that benefit from utility are supports, maybe certain junglers. The utility tree just offers you a lot of different things, and you can really, it probably is even more versatile than the defense tree. While the offense tree is very straightforward, the utility tree can be a little bit more interesting, and I just kind of recommend that you would go through all of these and just take time to read each of them, and then think about whether or not that would be helpful for you. So this first point right here is actually very helpful because it reduces the cooldown on Flash. Flash is usually a summoner spell that everybody takes, so reducing that cooldown by 15 seconds can really be helpful. This Wanderer can be a good choice if you are going to be spending a lot of time roaming or moving out of combat. So like a support player can benefit from this quite a bit because they're probably not going to be in combat very often, just because they're not, going to be last hitting or anything like that in lane. Going to be spending time warding and just keeping track. Or even a jungler can definitely benefit while they're moving between camps from Wanderer. Now these 3 points I would say are probably the staple of the utility tree with the mana regen. Mana regen is really nice on a lot of AP carries. So if you're going to go in the mid lane with someone like Ryze or something like that, and you want to take 21 in the offense 3 and then 9 in the utility, this can really help you with your mana. And then this speeds up your recall. I usually don't put points in that, but you never know, it couldn't hurt. So a good standard setup would be something like this for your first tier. Now moving on to the second tier, this Scout is most beneficial for supports if you're going to be placing a lot of wards. Now this Mastermind is actually, putting 3 points here can be really nice because it reduces the cooldown of all summoner spells. So this would actually reduce the cooldown on your Flash by quite a bit. So if you use your summoner spells a lot, this is a really good thing to take. Right here we got more mana per level, so kind of ties in with that one. And then right here we have the reducing the cooldown of activated items. If you're using a lot of active items, you can get up to 15% cooldown on them. So just kind of consider that depending on what type of a buy itemization guide you're going for. Moving down, we've got Greed. This gives you passive gold, 2 gold every 10 seconds. So if you're going to be buying items, again, on a support, like Philosopher's Stone or a Cage's Lucky Pick, this can really help supplement that same type of concept, just in a mastery. This right here gives you increased buff duration. If you're a mid laner who's going to be taking the blue buff, I would say this is essential. If you're an AD carry who's going to be taking the red buff and you don't want to put 9 points in the defense tree, grab this point. It could be really, if you're an AD carry who uses a lot of mana, like a Sivir or someone like maybe an Ezreal, this could be a really good thing to do. Get the red buff as often as you can. It gives you extra 20% on that buff. Now, these 3 points, Vampirism, gives you up to 3% Lifesteal and Spell Vamp. Again, can be very useful if you are, if you're maybe a champion like Vladimir or something like that who relies on Spell Vamp. Akali, maybe. These 3 points can be very helpful with that as well. This Biscuiteer, if you've ever seen a game where somebody starts off with an item called the Total Biscuit, basically it's kind of like having a potion that gives you health and mana, and it's totally free. You just start the game with it with your inventory. Very nice. Moving down, this increases your starting gold, so tied in with this Greed, it increases your gold at the beginning of the game. Now this awareness increases your experience. This can be very useful for someone like a support player who's not necessarily in lane all the time and might be behind in levels. Getting this awareness can help you to level up efficiently. Again, right here we've got increased health per 5 seconds for each 400 maximum mana. So if you're building mana, these 3 points can give you up to 3 health regen per 5 seconds as you build mana. So someone like Ryze, this is extremely effective putting points here as you build a lot of mana. The Explorer, this is tied in with this Biscuiteer. It also gives you an item that you start the game off with that it will actually give you a very temporary ward. I believe it's for 1 minute, whereas wards are normally for 3 minutes. So as a support, I definitely recommend taking a game of point there. Then Pickpocket, this can be really handy. Basically, every basic attack that you do against a champion, you get gold. So very, very handy. Again, if you want to be, if you're using basic attacks, maybe somebody like a Oriana. She has her passive gives her a bonus on basic attacks. Taking a point here can give you extra gold for every basic attack that you do against a champion. These 3 points give you cooldown reduction up to 6% CDR. So you can get 6% here and 4% here and get up to 10% CDR just from your masteries. Again, very, very, very useful. And then last one just gives you bonus movement speed. So overall, the utility tree is a little bit geared more towards, I would say, mages and support players. But there's, a lot of good things that you could do in this utility tree. And it's hard to really say, if you're a support player, you're going to want to probably go with something like this. Getting these points, going to grab the biscuit, the explorer ward, get this CDR, maybe a pickpocket, maybe grab an extra one, and then this would be a really good support setup right here. If you're going more for like the mana and that type of thing, maybe you want to grab these points, this Lifesteal and Spell Vamp, maybe get the extra gold, give you that mana as you're building mana. That could be really nice, give the extra experience. Ooh, what we definitely want to grab this CDR, and this would be a really good page for some certain mages. But really, there's just a lot of different ways you can go, and it really just depends and what you want to do with it. But just to kind of give you a basic overview of some pages that I really like to run that I've shown you already. The 80 carry page that I primarily like to run looks like this. Very, very standard, taking all the physical damage, taking some really basic, solid defensive statistics. Sorry about that. It's okay. Then, like an AP carry page would look something very similar, where you're taking these points, on the opposite end of the offense tree, similar setup. This would be a very solid choice for an AP carry. You could also, if you wanted, for a mid laner, go with something like this instead. Yeah, this could be a really good choice right here. This would be a very solid setup for an AP mid laner. Give you the extra mana if you feel like you're safe. You don't necessarily need the defense. Yeah, overall, there's just a lot of different ways that you can use this. But just to give you a bit of a basic heads up about how it works, that's just kind of the basics. Now, let's talk also about runes. Runes are a little bit more... They're the same concept, but they work differently because you have to spend your points to unlock them. So, and then you start off with 2 rune pages. I just had them basically one set up for my basic AD page, one set up for my AP page. I could use a lot more rune pages, to be honest, and I think that rune pages are very much useful. Another quick note about your masteries, I like to just keep 1 page and then just set it up brand new every single game. That's personally how I like to use my masteries. It just gets you in the habit of always making sure that you've got the right mastery set up. So just a quick tip. I think I saw it on Voyboy's stream. He only has 1 mastery page because you can change it in the game champion selection screen. So, but with runes, you are stuck with your runes ahead of time, so you want to make sure that you get those figured out. Now with runes, there's a lot of different ways that you can go, but I'm just going to show you a couple of basic rune pages and kind of talk about what I like to do. Now, basically, there are 4 categories. There are marks, seals, glyphs, and quintessences. And basically, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 9 of the reds, blues, and yellows, and then 3 quintessences. So basically, these give you bonus statistics. So right here, this is a very standard AD page. I run this on all of my AD champions, AD carries, AD bruisers. It's a very versatile page. Or basically, I'm taking flat attack damage for all 3 quints and then all 9 of my marks. It's going to give me a whole boatload of basic, up to plus 15 basic damage from the very beginning of the game. It's going to help me last hit. It's going to give me extra damage when I'm trading. Very, very solid setup. Then for your yellows, I like to run flat armor. Again, just going to help you with your early trading in lane against physical damage champions. And then I like to run scaling magic resist blues. So this will mostly kick in when you get later levels. You're going to end up with a total of 24 magic resist. The reason I like these is because I feel like most of the time when magic damage is scary is late game, when those mages get their Rabadon's Death Cap and their, Zhonya's Hourglass, those big AP items, Void Staff, and they're really wrecking my day. So then that's when I want my magic resist to kick in. It's a very, very standard setup. And basically the reason why this has become a standard setup is because it is the most efficient way to use all these slots. You know, you can get AD from almost any of the different pages, I think, but they're not all valued equally. So if you get 9 yellows, if I were to do yellows, I'm actually not even 100% sure what is all available for each one, but I just know that this is the most efficient way to do it. So let's talk about an AP page. This is a little bit different. For my marks, I will do magic penetration. I will do scaling health for my yellows, sticking with those same scaling magic resist for my blues, and then flat ability power quintessences. So kind of the same type of idea. Instead of flat AD, I'm doing flat AP. Instead of flat AD for the marks, I'm doing magic penetration. That's usually good because early on having a lot of AP usually isn't that helpful because you're mostly just kind of last hitting with your auto attacks. So getting magic penetration is going to help the AP that you do end up buying be more efficient. Scaling health is really nice because you don't really need armor if you're going with a mid laner, just because a lot of mid laners are going to do AP damage. So the armor is not as effective as it is on maybe the top lane or the bottom lane. So scaling health is really nice, just to give you a total of 175 extra health at level 18. Then the scaling magic resist, same concept as before. You could do flat magic resist, that would give you a boost early game against those mages, but just to be economical, because I'm a little lazy and I don't want to buy a second set of blues, I just use them over again. Now these two pages I'd say can work very well. I use this page for any champion that focuses on attack damage. I use this for a lot of my junglers. Then I use this page for a lot of my AP mid laners and my supports. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that you can do things, though. I mean, with runes, if we just go to the store and take a look, I mean, you can buy almost anything for runes. Not word skins, we want runes. You know, if you just take some time and look through the marks, first of all, you're definitely going to want tier 3. The tier 1 and tier 2 are a waste of time for the most part, because they're just not going to be as efficient. So wait till you get to level 20, then start buying your runes. Then just look through each of these, as you go, sort them by price, and just kind of take a look at what they offer you. I mean, we've got things like armor, attack damage, magic resist, mana regen. I mean, there's just a whole boatload of stats. Cooldown reduction, crit chance, hybrid penetration, critical damage, scaling mana. There's all sorts of different things that you can buy. So really, I would say that it's best to just kind of tailor your rune pages to the champions that you really like to play the most, and a lot of it's really up to your own personal playstyle. But if let's just take a look, for example, at armor. You can get plus. Let's see here. This is plus 9 armor, and these blues give you plus 7 armor. So you can see that the armor in the this is 0.91 and 0.7. So you're actually getting more bang for your buck with getting armor in the red page versus the blue page, and then the yellow page you actually get 1.4. So, and then I want to say you can also get quints of armor. Let's go ahead and take a look. Defense. Yep, you can get plus 4, but that's different because you have 9 yellows, but you only have 3 reds. So that's about 12, 13 or so. 4, 8, 12. Yep, about 12, and then 9. So it comes out about even. But basically, that's kind of why certain guides suggest things certain ways. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to grab some armor randomly in my marks. You want to get armor in your seals because it's the most efficient in the seals. Whereas if we let's look at damage, physical damage. You get almost 1 AD in your marks. If we go to the glyphs, you get only 0.28. So these are just kind of a waste. You don't really get that much here in the blues. Yellows 0.4. So the yellows and the blues are very, very limited in terms of their efficiency, whereas you want to go for these reds because you get almost 1 full AD. The quints also give you some good AD at 2. Other solid choices for things that you could also do. Let's go ahead and take a look back at my runes. For your quints, you could also do attack speed, would be really nice, especially on a jungler. Also, movement speed are quintessences that are really cool. And then also, you could do Lifesteal. Lifesteal quints have become very, very popular in Season 3 for a lot of AD carries, just because they allow you to buy a Doran's Blade and sustain without pots. That's pretty much the basic reason. And at some point, I will be buying some Lifesteal quints to try it out, because it's a very interesting setup. that you don't have to, start with something stupid like just because the Doran's Blade is a great starting item, and then if you go Lifesteal Quince, you can sustain a little bit longer. But like I said, there's a lot of different things that you can do. Just kind of experiment and then take a look in the shop and see what gives you the most bang for your buck to decide which category to buy them in. But yeah, I think that about covers everything that I have to say on Runes and Masteries. A very basic setup. You can buy more rune pages if you go to other. Yep, you can get a 7 rune page bundle. I want to say that there are other places to buy. I want to find it. I'm not actually sure if you can buy it in here, but I know you can buy just a rune page. It's got to be around here somewhere. Kind of failing right now. Oh, here we go. Right here. Additional rune page for 600 of 6,300 IP. That's pretty steep, but it's definitely worthwhile. I need to be getting myself some more rune pages, but unlocking champions is just too much fun. But anyways, a little long-winded, but I hope you guys enjoyed this little bit of an in-depth look at Runes and Masteries for a beginner League of Legends player. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you soon. Bye.